My name is Rob Harris. I'm an attorney at Holden Kidwell, Hana-Crapo in Idaho Falls, Idaho. And today I have the privilege of interviewing my longtime partner, Chuck Homer, who is the recipient of the 2025 Idaho State Bar Distinguished Lawyer Award. I've had the opportunity to work with Chuck for over 20 years. Congratulations on this award. The bar describes it as the highest singular recognition bestowed upon any individual member of the bar. It is well deserved, and today I've been asked by the bar to conduct an interview. Chuck, like all interviews, it's important to start with your background. Why don't you tell us about your background and where you were born and raised?
I'm a typical Idaho farm boy. I was born in Idaho Falls and spent pretty much my entire life in Idaho Falls. I raised my family in Idaho Falls. I went to Idaho Falls High School, graduated in the class of '67. My wife grew up in Idaho Falls, and we married in Idaho Falls, and I've lived there ever since, and raised our family in Idaho Falls. So that's our background.
Where did you receive your education?
Well, besides, of course, the Idaho Falls High School, I did my undergraduate work at BYU in Provo. I majored in political science and minored in economics. And then I got my law degree, my JD from the University of Idaho. Graduated from law school in 1974. So if you're counting, as of this year, that's 51 years ago, a long time ago.
You spent your entire legal career at Holden Kidwell. Can you describe why you decided to join Holden Kidwell?
You know, I was extremely lucky, not just because I ended up with a good firm, but I got a job right off the bat and I didn't have to go through all that heartache. During my second and third year at law school, I clerked at Holden and Kidwell. And then when it was time to go back to law school, they offered me a job and I graduated and I took the job. One interesting thing about Holden and Kidwell is when I went back to law school that fall, Dean Menard, who was then the dean of our law school, cornered me and he said, I understand you clerked for Holden and Kidwell, and if they give you a job offer, that's one of the best firms in the state and you would be crazy not to accept. So that's how I ended up at Holden and Kidwell.
Can you just take a moment to describe what areas of practice you worked in?
My practice has primarily been commercial related. I think I'm most known for the real estate practice, and I've been probably a large majority of my practice has been in real estate transactions, mostly agricultural and commercial transactions. And then also I've done a fair amount of business litigation, fair amount of mortgage foreclosures, fair amount of work representing title defense, claims involving title companies, and then litigation involving title matters.
Don't think anybody receives an award like this without support. Why don't you tell us about your family?
My current family, I have three wonderful children. They all received degrees and are all involved in a profession to some extent. My oldest daughter is a registered nurse. My next oldest daughter is a school administrator and school teacher. And I have a son who is a master's in social work. And I have another son, my youngest, who's an attorney practicing in Manhattan. As far as my early life goes and how I was raised, through a set of circumstances and an accident, I lost my parents when I was just a sophomore in high school, age 15. I had two younger sisters and an older sister. And so I went to live with my grandparents. And so that was kind of a changing part of my life, but it was a good change because we learned a lot of things when we had to become independent at a young age.
What hobbies and volunteer work have you engaged in during your career as a lawyer?
Well, I've always been active in different things in the community, church and civic clubs and so on. But I would really say, as far as personal hobbies go, we have a cabin in Island Park. I grew up going to Island Park about every weekend. My grandparents had a cabin there, and then I was fortunate enough to buy one. And that's our hobby. That's our activities. We go to Island Park, have family get-togethers there. I say I have a Navy flotilla. I think I have like 15 kayaks, and we can take 20 people or whatever down the river when we float. So that's my hobby and that's my activities. As far as other functions, I was highly involved throughout the years in the State Bar and also the Law Foundation. And so initially I went on and I served, I think, 2 or 3 terms on the board of directors for the Idaho Law Foundation, and also served 2 terms as president. And it was a good experience.
What initially prompted your interest in the legal profession?
You know, I decided I wanted to be an attorney when I was probably a freshman in junior high. And I'm not sure my thinking was really well established at that time, but as I look back now, I think the reason I wanted to be an attorney is I'm one of those individuals that likes right or wrong answers, and I like to do the right thing and follow the rules. For me, stop signs or stoplights aren't optional. If it says stop, you stop. So I like there to be defined things you follow, you do the right thing. And that's, I think, what appealed to me on the practice of law, because you have the rule of law, you have the right way to do things, and you follow the law. And I think that attracted me, and I became an attorney.
Who do you look to as a role model, either personally or professionally in your legal profession?
Well, a couple, like I said, personally, when I went to live with my grandparents at a young age, and my sisters went too, that was quite a role model for me, because my grandparents were at an advanced age. Looking back now, I realized how old they were. They're as old as I am now. And they took on teenagers and raised teenagers for a number of years. And I see now how much of a sacrifice that was, but also I learned how to work. And I started working clear back in grade school, mowing lawns, and had a job ever since then, clear through law school. As far as professionally goes, the people who have affected me and influenced me have all been attorneys at Holden, Kidwell, and Crapo. We're fortunate at Holden, Kidwell, and Crapo, 3 of the people in the firm who were my mentors also have previously received the Distinguished Lawyer Award. And so they kind of taught me how to do it right, and I tried to follow them.
What are a few career accomplishments that you'd like to let folks know about?
You know, besides the opportunity I've had to have some leadership positions just involving the Law Foundation and the Idaho State Bar, Real Property Section, and so on, I've done a lot of litigation, but I think what I would consider a main career accomplishment is the number of loyal clients I've developed. And I have clients that have been with me for 51 years now. I have corporate clients that have gone on to become national clients, and one of them is also an international client. And I don't do all the work, obviously, at a company that size, but they've stuck with me for 30 to 50 years, and I think that's a good accomplishment. That shows I've done something right.
Any final words or thoughts as we wrap
I'd
up?
like to say how fortunate we are in Idaho to have the Idaho State Bar and the Idaho Law Foundation. Of course, I spent all of my years working with Diane Minnick, and she did everything. We didn't have to worry about it. Diane made sure we did it right. But the bottom line is, for the size of the state we have well-organized, well-operated State Bar and Law Foundation, and we should be thankful for that.
Well, thank you, and congratulations again on this award. As I said before, it's well-deserved, and appreciate all of your help for the bar and for me personally and attorneys you work with. So thank you.
Thank you. It's a privilege and an honor, and I appreciate the opportunity and thankful for the Republican.